Thanks, Alexa. Okay, so this whole entire month, we have been talking about how we can shepherd people in their next steps. And we know that doesn't just apply to small groups, but this applies to any team, worship, production, on deck, whatever team you oversee or where you're entrusted to shepherd people. We are talking specifically to you. And so this week, we are going to be unpacking how to shepherd our students in their next steps in regards to having a daily devotional life. Now, I have a question for you guys. Has anyone ever come home from maybe a really long day of work? Maybe you spend a lot of hours with the kids. Maybe you've been in school for a really long time and you've just been having test after test, and you come home and you're just absolutely exhausted. Can we just be honest, right? Sometimes you feel like maybe you're running on an empty tank. So there was a specific time, this was about a few years ago when I worked at the hair salon, and I came home and I was absolutely exhausted. I've been talking to people all day, all long. I was doing task after task. I had been on my feet all day, and the only thing that sounded refreshing and restful to me, if I'm going to be honest, was sitting in my bed watching Netflix. That was the only thing that sounded restful to me. And so I remember a specific time I walked over to the sink to wash my hands, and I remember I heard a still small voice in my heart, and I heard this: "Come and sit with me, and I will give you true rest." I'm going to repeat that. "Come and sit with me, and I will give you true rest." And so I knew right away, okay, God, you're tapping my heart, you're convicting me, because right now in my mind, the only thing that sounds like that's going to bring me true rest is to go take a nap, to go watch some Netflix, to go scroll on my phone. And so I took God for his word. I opened up my Bible. I started watching a sermon. I started putting on some worship music, and I began to press in to hear the Father's voice. And I want to tell you what happened when I took that step. In that moment, the girl who a few hours before wanted just to go and nap now felt like she could go run a marathon. I was FaceTiming all my friends, telling them about the sermon that I just watched, the revelation that I just had. I was just so pumped, and I was so excited for everything that God was speaking in my heart. And so I tell you guys this story today because spending time with Jesus results in an energy that sleep can never give you. Spending time with Jesus gives you a refreshment that scrolling on Instagram will never give you. Spending time with Jesus gives you a rest that watching Netflix can never give you. And so I want us to help our students see that when they're taking the step to have a daily devotional life, not just in church, not just on the weekends, but walking with Jesus every single day, that they get to actually be refreshed themselves and actually experience his rest. I love it. It says in Matthew chapter 11, verse 28 through 29. This is Jesus speaking. He says, "Are you weary?" Right? We can all be honest. We felt a little bit weary before. "Carrying a heavy burden." He says, "Come to me." He doesn't say, "Follow me." He says, "Come to me. I will refresh your life." So now he's saying, if you come to me, I will refresh your life, for I am your oasis. Simply join your life with mine. Learn my ways, and you'll discover that I am gentle, I'm humble, I'm easy to please, and you will find refreshment and rest in me. He's not saying in sleep, even though we know that physical sleep is good. He's not saying watching Netflix, scrolling through Instagram. He's saying, listen, the only way that you will find true refreshment and true rest is spending time with me. He says, for all that I require of you will be pleasant and easy to bear. And so how do we help our students begin to understand that a daily devotional life with God isn't just checking off a box of, okay, I feel like a good Christian, or I feel like I read my daily scripture for the day, but actually coming into the throne room with God boldly to his throne of grace and having an understanding that when I come and I sit at the table with my Father, I will be refreshed, I will be energized, and I will be able to take on anything that my day has. So how do we help our students understand and see this? So I have a few questions. If you guys have anything to take notes, I encourage you to take down these questions for you to actually begin to ask your students or even in your teams. The first question is this: How do you view spending time with God? So you want to ask your students that. You want to ask your team that. How do they even view spending time with God? Like we said, do they see it as just doing a checklist? Do they see it as just, okay, let me get my quick 15 minutes in, and then God will bless me the rest of the day because, I did something good for him? Or do they see it the opposite, where they see him as a father, where they see that this is a time of refreshment to get to hear their father's voice? He's going to begin to guide them, direct them, love on them. They're going to have everything that they need in his presence. Question number 2, ask them if they have a physical Bible or if they have the Bible app. That is a huge, huge thing that we want to ask because honestly, surprisingly, there might be some people inside of your small group who don't have a Bible. They might not have a physical Bible. And honestly, we have a ton of extra Bibles. If you have a student, come find me, come find Pastor Lissa, Pastor Ben, any of our staff, and we will make sure that we get them a physical Bible. But I also know that we have the Bible app to where they're going to be able to download that for free. So that's question number 2. Number 3 is, what does your time with Jesus look like? Give them space to be honest, right? We don't want just a polished answer for them to tell you, yeah, I wake up at 6 a.m. and I put on my worship music and I open up Hebrews, you know what I mean? Like if that's what they're doing, that's awesome, but give them space to actually be honest of what that looks like so they can be vulnerable and then answer this question. How do you think your devotional life can improve? How do you think your devotional life can improve? And by asking this question, it opens up an area where we can begin to refine what it looks like to walk with God and actually have an action step. And so this leads us to our action step. And I'm going to actually be sending every single one of you guys a link inside of our Sozo group message with a devotional to the Bible app. And something that I'm encouraging every single one of us as leaders in the room, whether it's small group, production, worship, whatever it is, I actually want to ask you to do a go and do for the week. And that is for you and your small group to actually walk out a devotional plan inside of the Bible app. And what this does, it helps us keep accountability. It helps us keep the word in front of them if they aren't already. And it helps you guys, even as a group, just grow stronger and stronger in your faith. So that's the go and do for the week.